Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most legendary names in American muscle car history, the Pontiac GTO. If you're a fan of raw power, classic styling, and stories that defined a generation of car culture, you're going to love this ride through time. Buckle up, because the GTO is more than just a car, it's a movement. Let's start at the very beginning, in the early 1960s. At that time, Detroit was already experimenting with performance cars, but the idea of putting a big, powerful engine into a mid-size body wasn't fully mainstream. Enter Pontiac's engineering team, led by John DeLorean. They had a vision: take the Tempest, slip a 389 cubic inch V8 under the hood, and create something entirely new. That's how the first GTO was born in 1964, and it immediately sparked the birth of the muscle car era. The name GTO itself came from Ferrari's 250 GTO, meaning Gran Turismo Uomo Legato. Of course, Pontiac's car wasn't Italian, it was American to the core. But the name gave it an exotic flair, signaling that this was something more than an everyday sedan. Young buyers flocked to it because it was fast, affordable, and had a rebellious image. In many ways, the Pontiac GTO became the poster child for a generation of car enthusiasts who wanted speed and style without breaking the bank. By 1966, the GTO had already cemented its reputation. Pontiac refined the styling, making the body more aggressive with stacked headlights and a wide grille. Under the hood, buyers could choose engines ranging from a 335 horsepower V8 to the legendary tri-power setup with 3 carburetors producing up to 360 horsepower. Magazine tests showed it could sprint from 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds, serious performance for the time. Car culture magazines, street racers, and even Hollywood started noticing the GTO. The late 1960s brought even more excitement. The 1968 redesign gave the GTO a curvier, more modern look with hidden headlights and the famous Endura front bumper that could take a hit without denting. This model is one of the most recognizable versions, and it helped solidify the car's reputation as the ultimate muscle machine. Sales were booming, and the GTO was everywhere from drag strips to high school parking lots. It was the dream car for many young Americans. In 1970, Pontiac turned up the heat again with the GTO Judge. This wasn't just a car, it was a statement. With bold graphics, bright colors like Orbit Orange, and a 400 cubic inch Ram Air engine pushing up to 370 horsepower. The Judge was Pontiac's way of saying, if you want to rule the streets, this is your weapon. The Judge became a pop culture icon, cementing the GTO's image as the king of muscle cars. But the early 1970s also brought challenges. Rising insurance costs, stricter emissions regulations, and the oil crisis began to strangle the muscle car market. Pontiac tried to adapt by offering smaller engines and focusing on styling, but the magic of the GTO started to fade. By 1974, the GTO had been downsized onto the Pontiac Ventura platform, and although it still had some punch, it lacked the raw power and charisma of its earlier days. By the mid-1970s, the golden age of the GTO was over. The car was discontinued after 1974, and while the Firebird Trans AM carried Pontiac's performance torch into the late 70s and 80s, fans always remembered the GTO as the original muscle legend. However, the story didn't end there. The name would resurface decades later, showing that legends never truly die. Fast forward to 2004, Pontiac revived the GTO by importing a rebadged Holden Monaro from Australia. This modern GTO had a 5.7-liter LS1 V8 and later a 6.0-liter LS2 with over 400 horsepower. Performance-wise, it was impressive, but the styling was understated, and some enthusiasts felt it didn't capture the rebellious spirit of the original. Still, it proved that the GTO name could live again, even in a new form. Collectors today absolutely treasure the classic GTOs. A well-preserved 1966 or 1970 Judge can fetch six figures at auctions. Car shows still celebrate them, and you'll often see enthusiasts debating which year was the best. Was it the clean look of the 64, the aggressive lines of the 68, or the flamboyant Judge? No matter the answer, everyone agrees that the GTO set the standard for what a muscle car should be. What makes the Pontiac GTO so special isn't just horsepower, it's the cultural impact. It defined an entire segment of the automotive world and inspired countless competitors from the Chevy Chevelle SS to the Dodge Charger. The GTO symbolized freedom, rebellion, and individuality. For many, it wasn't just transportation. It was a statement about who you were and what you stood for. So, when we look back at the Pontiac GTO, we see more than a car. We see an icon that transformed the auto industry and shaped the dreams of millions. Its legacy lives on in modern performance cars, which owe their existence to the formula Pontiac perfected, a powerful engine in a stylish, accessible package. Even though Pontiac as a brand is gone, the GTO's spirit will always remain alive. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the history of the Pontiac GTO. If you enjoyed the story, let me know in the comments which version of the GTO is your favorite. Don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with fellow car enthusiasts, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into automotive legends. See you next time!